Hey everyone, it's Abra, and I'm back with another review. This time it is Graveyard Shift, Supplemental Book 3. So let's go ahead and dive right in. For those who aren't aware, Graveyard Shift is a series by Jon Malin and Mark Poulton, and it's their take on the Universal monsters if they were the X-Men. So early on, I wasn't on board with the supplementals. I don't know why. I just thought hearing the name supplemental that it wasn't going to be necessary to the story. Well, that is far from the case. In fact, for those who might be missing out on the supplemental books from the Graveyard Shift series, you're missing out on a lot of the meat and potatoes that really kind of fill in some of those gaps about the different characters that we encounter in the series. So with the first two Graveyard Shift books, you have a character called Van Helsing. He ends up becoming president, and he's a really evil guy with evil intentions. And the Graveyard Shift make it a point to try to take him out. We get to learn a little bit about Van Helsing from the 107 universe in the supplemental book 3. He's decided to dedicate his life to hunting monsters because he allowed himself to fall in love and have a family. And that was the greatest joy of his life. He ended up having with his wife a son who they named Elijah, and everything seemed perfect. But unfortunately, as a lot of these stories go, just when our hero seems to be at peace and has found happiness, you have a tragedy that befalls Bram and his family. And in this universe, they have the Dracula character here too. And I really liked how Jon Malin and Mark Poulton kind of designed this character. He has that almost X-Men kind of look, a little bit of a tribute to Wolverine there. He comes in to get revenge on Bram, torture him, make his life hell. He murders his family because he realizes that the family was Bram's one weak point. That was where he could get him. So Bram, he decides that he's going to get revenge no matter what. And in a desperate act, he reaches out to the Wolf King, the king of the werewolves, and he pledges his soul in order to have the power to take down Dracula. Unfortunately, part of the cost is he becomes, that wolf beast, and he can't really control himself. So he ends up developing this silver-based solution which will help him kind of subdue the lichen, the werewolf tendencies, and the rage. And this kind of gives him more control so it doesn't just overcome him and he goes on a rampage and kill everybody. He ends up partnering up with a guy he calls J-Man. His name is Jekyll. And again, everything's kind of tied into Universal monsters or those old classic monsters. So think Jekyll and Hyde. And they have this very high-tech AI called Igor. They use the advanced technology to track monsters. So that's Bram's main focus, is hunting down monsters so he can wipe them from his world, his universe, so that others won't have to experience the tragedy of losing their families that he had to experience. So one morning he gets a call that there is a monster detected, and Jekyll has a little surprise for Bram. He developed a mini transporter that can transport Bram where he needs to go so he can take care of monsters across the other dimensions as well. Bram goes ahead and equips the portable transporter, and he's off to go ahead and lay waste to the monster that is wreaking havoc in Universe 9393. He ends up discovering that there's this really beastly looking character. He almost looks like Quasimodo or something, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And he goes by the name Toll, like for whom the bell tolls. Up until this point, the monster was only hunting other monsters, but the news reports that 2 humans were recently killed. So now people have to shelter in place, and they're worried that this monster hunter will come after them. There is this vampire bat. He's getting ready to attack this young kid here. All of a sudden, Bram, our hero, teleports in at the right time, and he is able to lay waste to that creature and rescue this young kid. And when Bram is able to compose himself, he hears the kid say, "Is that you?" And it turns out that this is Elijah from this universe. This would have been his son in this particular universe. And they have this touching kind of moment. In this universe, Elijah lost his father and mother. And so he really, it's kind of a touching moment where the boy who lost both his parents gets to kind of see his father again, even though it's a different version of Bram. And Bram has this touching moment where it's almost as though he can see his son again. And then they're kind of just talking about how, they can be together and, just how wonderful this is. And Bram happens to see that there's this a report of this monster. They start talking about how the monster first appeared on the scene, how it killed the graveyard shift. And all of a sudden, another monster attacks and gets the jump on the two. And once again, Elijah's in danger. And of course, the thought of losing his son yet again really upsets Bram, as you might expect. And he goes ahead and starts to wolf out and shows a little bit of his monster self there. In order to kind of get Elijah out of the way, he goes kind of primal, and Elijah ends up seeing this version of his father in this monster form. And even though Bram, just rescued the boy, and they have this really cool battle scene back and forth, the boy is just kind of disturbed by the fact that his dad's a monster. And I don't want to spoil the rest of it, but you just kind of see Elijah explain how much of a disdain that he has for monsters. We have, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, the Toll monster make an appearance. And the one thing that I really liked is they have this battle. Bram and Toll end up having this really cool back and forth battle, and the teleporter on Bram's wrist ends up teleporting him across all these different universes. Phill has him go to universe 9374, which is Cyberfrog. So you get Cyberfrog there. Then they fight, and you see them go to universe 777, and you have Patrick Thomas Parnell's character from Johnny Phantasm. Then they teleport again to universe 2311, and you have Dan Frega's Black Flag team here. They're just like, what in the heck is going on? Boom, teleports again, universe 8893, and you're actually in Phill and Brandon's story from the Lost pages. And it's really cool how you see all the different characters here. We have a revelation of how Bram ends up losing his eye, and I can tell you it's far better than how they ended up revealing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe how Nick Fury lost his eye. Oh, mother! So this is a lot more satisfying than that. The story was really interesting. It's just kind of this quick little one shot that kind of gives you some insight into this version of Bram Abraham Van Helsing's psyche. As you see in the later Graveyard Shift books, he ends up teleporting into the main Graveyard Shift universe and helping them out, helping to take out his doppelganger. And I really enjoyed the story. I think Phill did a really good job. He's a great storyteller. It reads really easily. Everything seemed really tight. It has great action scenes. So yeah, especially when Razor Wing comes and we have that kind of cool fight and you see Bram just tapping into those werewolf abilities. The art is just really engaging on the page. It really brings that whole kind of 90s feel, that vibe, but brings it into the present. And there were a couple pages where the art seemed a little off. The head and the angle and everything of Jekyll just seemed strange. But I would say for the most part, everything looks really really tight, really on point. I would say definitely on par with the mainline Graveyard Shift series. I'm hoping for Graveyard Shift 5 that I will have a chance to maybe pick up some of the back issues. I need this supplemental book too. That's the one thing about Jon Malin's campaigns. You have to get on it when they're live, because once the campaign's over, it is over. So those are my thoughts on the Graveyard Shift Supplemental Book 3. And this is Abra. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, take care.